we have more sympathy for serial killers than we do for cheaters.
Yeah.
We have so many like documentaries and TV series, fictional TV series about, or historical fiction or whatever, going into like why a serial killer did what they did, why a murderer did what they and with cheating, it's like if you want to indicate that a character is bad, you make them cheat.
My favorite joke of yours is the lever joke.
I asked my ex to do one very specific thing in bed with his hand. And he said that following my instructions felt like going to a factory and pulling a lever. And what a great way to get your job replaced by a robot.
Rhythmically, emotionally, like mathematically, it is a perfect bit.
Thank you.
But I was trying to empathize with him. I was trying to put myself in his shoes. I think that he felt emasculated, right? I think that's what it was. He felt like I was saying that he couldn't make me come on his own. And I can sympathize with that because he couldn't.
How long did it take you to like hone that bit?
I have now been doing that joke for a couple of years, but it probably came together... It probably, like, from the first time I said it to, 90% of its current form, probably was like 6 months. I think I seem to remember that one being like fairly fast. Like, and for a true good big bit, 6 months is like fairly fast, I think.
Here's the thing, even if it felt like going to a factory and pulling a lever, does the lever make me come? Pull the lever! I'm gonna need you to put on your safety goggles and go in there and save American manufacturing.
And I remember like having written one of what is now the tentpole punchlines in that joke. I wrote it like less than a week before I shot that joke in my Don't Tell set. And it already, the joke was already like working very well and well enough to be my closer in my Don't Tell set. And then I just like added this extra, somebody sort of made a comment that made me be like, oh, that's what belongs right there. And I added this extra thing. And it truly now is my like most reliable applause break line. And I remember in my Don't Tell taping, you can watch it and I like stumbled just the tiniest hair. You can't, if you weren't looking for it, you wouldn't notice it.
How are you not walking into the factory every day and being like, oh, awesome. A lot of men are actually notoriously pretty bad at finding the liver.
It was probably the second or third time I had said that on stage. Said that line
That's
in the
wild,
taping.
because I actually like that. I like the way you do that set, that bit better in that set than in your Just for Laughs set.
Oh, amazing!
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think because it's so early, it feels
There's like
fresher.
a rawness to
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So tell me more about Cheat.
It is a solo show about how I have a history of cheating in most of my relationships. Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me
Of
on
course.
the show. The show does not condone cheating. I think cheating is always bad. I think cheating always hurts somebody. I think a healthy relationship does not involve cheating. And I think cheating happens all the time. And we hear about it in such a black and white way that I just don't think, I don't think the way we talk about cheating helps us cheat less, basically. Like,
It's
like,
clearly not, because people don't talk about it in a way that's like, yeah, that's
it's
helpful.
just cheating is evil, cheaters are the villains, that is the end of the story. And I think, it's like if abstinence only education worked, then a lot of teenagers would not get pregnant. It's not, just saying just don't do it, I don't think has ever worked. I would eat fewer Oreos if I could just say just don't do it,
Why Oreo's the best.
I know. So to me it's like if we want cheating to stop or decline, we would want people to talk about it. And I happen to be the person willing to stick a microphone in front of my face and say I've done it and talk about why and talk about my personal experience. And I think it's an incredibly revealing show. I think it's very, very funny. And I feel, basically, I am sort of willing to like excavate what's inside of me and be like, here you go. What do you think of that? Kind of up, but also kind of not. also like kind of just normal, kind of whatever, and we all have our shit. It's super personal, but it is still a stand-up show. It's still a comedy show. It's still through the lens of stand-up. And so I think audience members can come in and feel more comfortable coming into it.
Totally, because I think it is kind of mind-blowing to me that like there haven't been more solo shows or stand-up shows about like specifically about this approach to this topic.
You know what's funny? I mean, it's because we have more sympathy for serial killers than we do for cheaters.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to indicate, we have so many, like, documentaries and TV series, you know, fictional TV series about, or historical fiction or whatever, going into, like, why a serial killer did what they did, why a murderer did what they, and with cheating, it's like, if you want to indicate that a character is bad, you make them cheat. End of story. End of sentence. It's, like, so fast. It's so... You're dead.
The minute a character cheats, you're in a horror movie. You're like, they're dead,
exactly.
The minute they cheat, it's like
they deserve to die.
Does your joke writing change when you're writing what I guess
a full piece?
Yeah, like a full solo show.
A great question that I think, unfortunately, the answer is like a little bit of yes and a little bit of no. I mean, the way that solo show came about, or I should say, as I was developing it, the first versions of it were me just sort of being like, here's half an hour of jokes that I already have that are about relationship stuff where you can clearly see somebody who's struggling with the boundaries within relationships. This shows up, or I haven't framed this as struggling with within the boundaries, but I know, because I know that I am writing from that perspective, I can see where that's appearing and I can like pull those threads out. So, but basically, like, here's half an hour of material I already have that I think fits the theme.
Yeah.
And then here's 20 minutes of just straight serious writing, no jokes about infidelity.
Yeah.
And maybe 5 minutes of actual jokes about cheating that I had written already. And then it sort of mixed. Then it like started, you know, I started to peel out a bunch of the material that was not about cheating specifically, that was just about dating. That got chucked. And a bunch of the like serious writing about cheating became a lot funnier. I guess in terms of like going into punchline writing, I think it's not that different because I'm not usually working setup, punchline. I'm usually, here is an idea and we need a laugh line in there somewhere.
Yes.
Here is an idea, and we need a laugh line in there somewhere.
Yeah. You also host a web series.
This is In Tandem with Chloe Radcliffe, and my guest today is Akilah Hughes.
This is so romantic.
You're not only interviewing them, but you're forcing them to do a task.
Yes.
And a task that is difficult.
Yes. I have a person who almost always has never ridden a tandem bike, and often has never ridden any bike. Or like not in a decade, on the back of my tandem as we ride around Central Park.
I love it. I used to do a web series called the Bob Ross Challenge where we'd have people paint along with episodes of Bob Ross in real time. What I found in that is what I think also works for yours, which is that like when you have them focusing on a task and like exerting themselves in any way, then I find, I don't know if you found this, but like it opens them up so much quicker.
Totally.
And like the types of conversations that you've had with some of these people is like unlike conversations like James A. Caster, and Matt Broussard and all. I mean, it's like you're getting things out of them that I don't think would have come out.
Totally. I think that you the conversations get very deep very quickly on the tandem bike.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is, I think it's not insignificantly because we don't have to make eye contact. They can sort of forget that they're talking to me, or you know what I mean? It's not quite as confrontational, it's a little bit more freeing. And then they're doing something. Half of their, their body is occupied and half of their brain is occupied. I think it's like why people fidget. It's why, right? Like you're fidgeting right now so that your body can be like releasing energy and your brain can be focusing on, a little bit less that's going on.
100%.
And I think that that's what tandem biking does. And you know what's funny? I'm having this thought, literally in the moment, I've never made this connection. During the pandemic, I shot 3 episodes unreleased, forever unreleased, sitting on a hard drive somewhere. No one will ever see these episodes of a web series that I never found a good title for. working title is Baking and Feelings. And the idea was that I wanted to make labor-intensive desserts and talk about emotions. And the reason that I wanted to make labor-intensive desserts was just as a thing to give people to do. And where it came from was that if you whip your own whipped cream, you just have to sit there and stir for like 15 minutes. And
it's intense.
It's intense. And so the idea of being like, now talk about your mom while somebody is doing something, I think can sort of like take it can drop some of the barriers, right? It can lower the walls.
Totally.
And that show like was experimentational and didn't work. Nothing ever happened with it. I never did anything with it. But I realized that I've actually found a format that does that exact same thing without meaning to, like without making the connection.
I got a date better man. My ex wouldn't let me touch his Magic the Gathering cards.
I'm gonna shake it up tonight. So let's put your hands together for Alex Novak.
You just did like a major motion picture.
Yeah.
Is this thing on?
Yeah.
Which was awesome to see you in it, but like also like as a comedian, like as like, you know, what you do.
Totally. I mean, Bradley was very committed to casting real comedians and not massive name ones. And I don't know. It's awesome to see him like, he's a part of the comedy scene. He loves the comedy scene. He wants to represent it honestly. And so he knows that means putting people who know the scene really well and do this as a job. And
especially if you shoot The Cellar. Like if you shoot The Cellar and people who go to The Cellar watch it and they're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like the amount of people you could have gotten to be in this who are actually at The Cellar every night, like why would you not?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something I found hilarious was that like in it, you're not only a comedian, but you're also apparently a magician.
Apparently.
And apparently, because when Will Arnett comes up to you and is like, "Hey, I heard you do your magic," like, yeah, I totally do.
Yeah.
And then he asks you to do his kid's birthday party, and then we cut to the birthday party.
Yeah.
We see the whole birthday party.
Yeah. Because much more important stuff is going on at the birthday party. For real. There's other stuff going on.
For the narrative of the story, it's
There were probably somewhere between 15 and 20 11-year-olds. And the direction was really be at a birthday party, like really be watching this magician. And so we're shooting for hours and these kids are feral. And there was the kid, you know, a couple ADs were wrangling the kids, but it was like, it really like, they were shooting so much and so naturalistically in the background that you couldn't really have the second AD stepping in and like dealing with the kids, you know, between every shot. And so I was just entertaining the kids and I basically taught them that they could be mean to me. And then I was mean back to them. And so they started bullying me for being bad at magic. And I am bad at magic. I'm not a magician. But what it meant was that at the end, so I was like trying to do this trick that I had learned. And they kept being like, "You stink! You're bad." I mean, like the meanest. "You can't do that. I know how you did your trick. You suck. You're bad at it." And they were like having a blast. And I was like, I know that I have to be the sponge here for their energy. Like I am absorbing all of their attention so that they don't fuck up the rest of this major motion picture shoot. You can't even do magic. And I was like, you're right. And I kept being like, one time, kids, I'm gonna get you one time. And then I did the exact same trick in the exact same way, and I just happened to land it once. And despite them having seen me trick 3 or 4 times already, despite them claiming to know how I did it, despite their claims that I'm bad at magic, I up those little pieces of shit. I tricked them. They were amazed. One time, I pulled the wool over their stupid little eyes.